So I don't know exactly what's going on with this Elon thing.
I don't think anyone does.
But there was an interesting thing that happened today.
Yep.
So Elon bought the 9.2% of Twitter. He gets offered a board seat. Twitter puts out that he's not going to be on the board, and then today liked a tweet that someone put out, and they're like, "Here's the story: Elon bought into Twitter for free speech. The people at Twitter said, Elon, fall in line. Elon said, I don't want to be on the board anymore."
But also there's something on that. If you join the board, you've got to sign NDAs about what they're developing, what it's all about. So you're basically hushing them. If you join the board, you got to keep quiet. He doesn't want it. He's going to get influence and info that he could still be free to, you know.
That's what I'm assuming.
But why would he like that tweet? Why would he be so sassy on the internet then?
Because it still makes him look good. It's still good PR to be like, I can't be silenced. I turned down the board seat because they wanted me to play ball, and I'm not going to play ball.
The marketing of this is that he's an advocate for free speech, and he's going to save the platform and reinstate Trump and be a free speech advocate, whatever. And all of a sudden, some guy's like, yeah, they tried to silence him, and so he left. And he's like, yeah, I left. That's why I did it. Like, it's great for him. Like, whether or not this is true or not, this is like
still
great
going to have
narrative.
influence. He's still going to,
But I'm pretty sure like every major company has like different stipulations for their board members. If you sign up on the board, it's like, hey, you have to behave this way. You can't do things to drag the market share, like, or to drag like the stock value, things like that. Like there's certain like SEC things that are like built in that they have to abide by. And some of those things might go against what he wants to do.
He's been penalized in the past for Tesla.
What was the smoking on Rogan, right?
I'm pretty sure.
No, it was something that just caused fluctuations in the price.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. So then what do you think this whole thing was? He must have known that. He's not an idiot. He has publicly traded companies.
I'm assuming he went into negotiation being like, oh yeah, I'll be able to tell him like, no, I don't want to abide by these specific stipulations. And then they're like, well, no, you have to. I assume they got into a negotiation.
But if this is so normal for all these companies, then he would know that's normal and that he wasn't going to be able to get around it.
Unless he can negotiate his way around it because now he's the biggest shareholder in Twitter.
Yeah, he probably thought he would be able to get around it most likely.
And they just said, nah.
Yeah.
Now, why can they say nah if he's the biggest shareholder?
Because all the board members own shares bigger than him.
So together
he owns
their
the
collective
plurality,
shares.
but not the majority.
So their collective shares give them more influence on him.
Right.
And he probably thought that some of them were going to come on board with what he wanted to do, and they were like, nah, we're not about that life.
I'm assuming. No one knows.
It's really funny go Al.
No, I didn't have it.
It's really funny the position that Elon's in, where we're just like, you're Captain Savior, and you can just save anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, the national debt, just let Elon handle it. Like, we just observe him as this really smart guy, and that he can solve any problem. And Twitter free speech, he's going to figure it out. Here are all his ideas. Everybody gets a blue check.
More than anybody I've ever seen. Remember when he bought Bitcoin and the price fucking skyrocketed?
Yeah.
And then he sold and the price fucking plummeted?
So what does that say about us? That like once you convince us that you're more intelligent, that we will follow you blindly?
I think there's a threshold for genius that we're just like, this guy's got it. He's got it all figured out.
And track record mostly.
Track record. And I think the distance between the result that you want and just him, it's like, oh, he's so powerful that if he's convincing us that that's a path, that's a new tech versus going through the government and all the steps there, you can trust what he's going to do a bit more.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. But you got to chill on his track record. He's starting to take some L's.
Talk to me.
He still, where's that highway that was supposed to be in LA?
Oh,
that shit
the
hasn't
tunnel.
happened. What about the internet that was supposed to be in fucking Russia
Ukraine?
and Ukraine? Yeah.
Didn't he put it up there?
I don't hear anybody talking about it. I don't hear it helping people. There's still
We forget. We
but there's
conveniently
not
forget.
like videos that are being able to like come out of those areas. That's the biggest problem.
As long as his W's shine brighter than his L's, he'll be good.
That's true.
And
But he
once
just
we're
has to-
bought in, that's the thing. Like, we're bought in. Like, motherfuckers are invested in Tesla, which is an investment in Elon.
Literally invested.
Yeah, that's Trump. It doesn't matter how many businesses go under. Like, he ran for president, he won. Like, he took on the media, he won. Like, whatever.
Shine the light on your W's, man.
But I feel it's like he has the Kanye effect where it's like, all right, we bought into Kanye, so everything he does, we'll pay attention to it. But if you start fucking up, then we're going to start looking at your other stuff like, hey, wait, these clothes are you just remix some clothes, put some holes in it.
Fam,
But we're still paying for the clothes.
No, there was a time where it was starting to hurt. Like people weren't buying Yeezys as much or whatever. And now he kind of bounced back.
And did not, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's like,
and I'll even say this with the Tesla shit. Like, everybody that gets a Tesla says the same thing to me. Oh my God, you got to get a Tesla. Tesla is the fucking best car ever. You guys have had Tesla. You said the same thing. Best car ever. Like, absolutely. Literally everyone says it. My friend just got one. one. I think he got the one that got like the spaceship steering wheel, the
Plaid.
the Plaid or whatever like that. He's like, oh, you got to do it. It's so fast. Like to me, and again, when I'm in it, I'm like, oh, this is nice. It's fun. It's kind of comfortable. It's minimalist, but the design is really good. But like to me, the car is not that impressive visibly. Like I like aesthetic with a car because I don't really know much about cars. So I love like the old classics, right? Because I'm like, oh, this took place in a time where like they didn't have to worry about like miles per gallon and they didn't have all these limitations. It was just, hey, just make the prettiest fucking thing in the world, right? So that's something that I really appreciate. I don't think that they're the most beautiful cars.
I never thought it was I thought it looked good. I don't find it the most beautiful car, but it was the first, especially if it's the first electric you've ever driven, you're not prepared for how smooth it is. And then all of a sudden you start driving a car where it's like, yo, this is like I'm driving on fucking pillows. Like I barely feel the road. And then you're just immediately like, I never driven anything like this. It blows your mind.
It's the driving experience.
Yeah.
And you're not usually the driver.
I was just about to say that.
The passenger experience.
You guys grew up driving.
Yeah.
So driving means something to you and you attach yourself to like not only things you love about it, but the things you hate about it. And it seems to have solved the problems that you guys have with driving.
Absolutely.
Whereas I grew up on a subway, so all cars are kind of like the same.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, this one is a little bit better. This steering is a little bit different over here, but it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect my life in the same way that for you guys, a car with like shitty steering. Like, I don't even understand shitty steering.
Yeah, even after being in New York for 10 years, the idea of having a nice car just almost meant nothing to me. Once I got the Tesla, I was like, oh, this is great. This drives great. Has its flaws, but it drives great. But it's not as important as it is if you're like a guy who commutes to work for an hour every day.
And the car is like the sneaker of Florida.
Yes, it is.
Like when you're in Florida, like you got to have the nice car because that's your sneaker. And the sneakers don't matter. You wear boots or whatever.
Yeah,
And
most people see your car.
And sneaker culture made sense to me when I came to New York because I was like, oh, you walk everywhere and you don't have a car. So the only way I can flex is this.
I know.
But like all these,
No,
like,
it makes sense.
Yeah,
people
yeah.
look at
and
like these rednecks in Florida with their lifted trucks or whatever. Like that's a flex. Like
that's the flex. I drive everywhere. I pull up
Yeah.
in the parking lot. You see this shit.
I got the biggest truck with the biggest thing and the loudest horn and the whatever. Like
You see me get into it.
it's a chain.
Yeah,
Like,
it sounds stupid, but like they're also looking at some of the things that we would do in New York and be like, oh, that's absolutely
you
ridiculous.
spend $1,000 on shoes.
You got how many pairs of shoes? You get
Talking
that a
about-
lot. You got how many pairs? And then in New York, you're like, oh, you also walk through them very quickly. You wear a sneaker the fuck out after 8 months in New York. In the suburbs, a sneaker can last you 5 years. You don't walk like that.
Yeah.
So New York, you have to have a rotation of fresh sneakers. It's the only way to flex. And I'm gonna run through these bitches quickly. All you got in the suburbs is cars.
Yeah.
They're also
Flexing's
basing
inherently
it. You're
stupid.
seeing the taxis exist right now. There's like a Revel that has the Tesla taxis. I think like their goal is also, you see the future movies where all the cars are kind of the same, where you won't, once your car drops you off at work, your self-driving car is driving around, picking up other people, making money, or you have a share in a car and they're all self-driving. So it's like, it looks good enough for all of that in mass. And this individualized like, oh, this car is mine and this is my taste. Like that's kind of out the window, like how people aren't like owning as much as, or it's not as important to just own and this is me, this is my personality exactly. It's like, it's a very nice car for a big population.
I wonder about this in the future when cars are self-driving. Right now BMW ultimate driving machine. Is it the future just going to be if you own a car, it's all about the passenger experience? Like, or the fucking seats are super comfortable and you got X number of TVs and you can recline this shit all the way back, as opposed to the engine and the horsepower. It's just going to be what allows me and my friends to ride in the comfiest fashion. That's the car that costs the most money. And
Like
there's
that's luxury.
that's what I'm assuming it will be, because a Porsche ain't gonna do fucking nothing when it's self-driving.
Yeah.
That's a waste of everything. It's completely inconvenient. It's me and one other person sitting mad low. Fuck wants his bucket seat.
It's gonna all depend on like, okay, you're in LA, you're in traffic, hour and a half, super luxe in the back seat. New
Put a
York,
bed in that bitch.
Doesn't matter. Just get me here, 10-minute drive.
That's interesting. Like, if the assumption is we'll have more people and more people equals more cars, you should plan the design of the car around traffic. If you can't solve the traffic problem, right?
Yeah.
If you can't make a 4-lane highway 8 lanes or whatever the other complications are, so solve the problem of traffic by just making that drive more bearable.
Yes.
Yeah, you could do work while you're doing it to commute. Also, traffic will be mitigated.
Well, you know who
also-
does that now?
Yeah, once
That-
the Internet of Things exists, their traffic is almost non-existent.
That's what they say. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. If all the people have to go to work at the same time, like you're still gonna have cars.
But if
Yeah,
there's
more
half
cars
as
than
many,
there's
if there's
space.
fewer cars and people are able to like even carpool or go like 300 miles an hour on the highway.
Oh, that's right. That could be faster. Okay, so there could be other things.
All that
right?
to say, on the self-driving car thing, I did think it was interesting that Elon came out and said, "Oh, if you have a Tesla, you can sign it up for the program to drive other people around
That's
while
the
you're not
thing.
using it."
Yeah, that's
see
the whole.
that?
That's the whole idea.
So he's basically like, you own a Tesla, you go to work and your car's sitting there for 8 hours, let it drive people around, and then you'll get paid instead of just having your car sit there.
Exactly.
That's a great idea.
But then,
But where can that work?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
it'll
like-
work in cities
But it's not now.
soon.
It's illegal. Self-driving is illegal.
Some small cities are going to be the pilot program to be like, all right, let it work in this city.
My understanding
It'll
was it wasn't good enough. Like it doesn't understand red lights and
So
stuff.
Wheezy got a Tesla in LA, and she has full self-driving. She's in the beta, and it makes turns for you. It's crazy.
Stops at red lights.
Stops at red lights.
Stops at stop signs.
The red light thing was
everything.
I think they got that figured out
Dude,
a while ago.
Yeah,
just
the
put
red
in the
light.
address.
How did they figure out the red light?
I think they got that unlocked.
It's all
My
all
car
figured
doesn't.
out.
It
Now
stops at red
the
lights
thing
and
that's
stops
going to
at-
be
Is
the
it
biggest
tapped into
hurdle-
like the lighting grid?
No, just the fucking cameras.
internet-
Able to tell which one's red, which one's green.
But what if the sun is blasting
So
light?
there's 8 cameras on the car.
The sun is
One of them
blasting
will be
light
able
on
to-
the.
No, I thought the Internet of Things.
Can I
was
just make the point? You fucking idiot. What if the sun is blasting light on the green part of the light, right?
You don't think Elon Musk was like, oh yeah, there might be the sun.
Yeah.
we gotta think about.
Well, so that's the big issue, right? Is that the camera picks up shadows, and that's what some of the crashes.
Yeah, the thing on your side, the sun reflected on a white truck, and so it blinded it. But again, you're talking about
There's issues here.
But yes, but
Very
billions
minimal.
and billions of pieces of data it's able to analyze, and millions of driving hours. I guarantee you, if you put that up to like the normal driving record of a 16-year-old or anyone else, it's that much safer. But I don't think people are ready to be killed by robotic cars.
Yeah.
Like that just hits different. Like
Right.
shit.
So
if
it
there was a
blew me
person
away.
there,
We were making a left turn, going a 3-lane street, and so it actually waited for traffic to pass for a clear opening, and it made the turn by itself.
Yeah.
That shit was.
Was
nuts.
there a light?
No.
was it sun out? Was it
Was that
nighttime?
a red
Or was
light?
it super
What time of
sunny?
day?
It was kind of sunny. It was
It was
LA.
kinda
It was sunny as fuck.
It was kind of coming in like that.
Sun.
If the sun is
yeah.
blasting it, that red light, that yellow light, and that green light are the same light.
Yeah, bro.
There's no way they could possibly tell. It's got to plug
Son,
into the grid.
it's-
I think it's plugged into the
Might be
city's
on the
grid.
grid, bro.
If it's plugged into the grid, then it makes perfect sense.
It's got Google Maps,
Hey,
probably.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Good.
makes perfect sense. Plug it into
it'll
the
figure
grid.
that out.
Why would you try to predict what the light is when the sun
I
could be
assume
up?
that's what it is.
I think it has backups on
Internet
backups
of
on
Things.
Why do you
backups.
Are you
assume that?
serious?
Why do you
Yeah,
assume
I
that?
Plugged into the
I
grid.
assume-
What if some fucking guy goes up and tapes the light? This happens in New York all the time. They put a middle finger on the stop sign.
Then everyone will go through it.
Say again?
How does that make it better or worse than a human?
We have eyes, dummy.
Yeah, the car is able to see when there's other cars.
What do you mean?
If a car is merging into the lane, the car will move out of the way.
We're talking about the light, Mark.
Yeah,
If the
exactly.
light's not operating how it should, the car's gonna stop.
I thought self-driving would always be Internet of Things.
Stop.
Every shit, all this
you
shit.
guys
Everybody
fucking
stop.
serious?
What's
Everybody
happening,
stop.
bro?
Here's a stop. What is it called? A stoplight?
Yeah.
A traffic light?
Yeah.
A traffic light. Here's a traffic light.
Okay, yeah.
Red, green, yellow. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Right?
All right. I'm on board now.
Okay. Red, green, yellow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the order.
Sun blasting.
Yeah,
Okay.
how bright?
It's blasting.
Super bright.
Okay. They try to put those little canopies on top. They try to
Doesn't
put the
do
little
shit.
fitteds. Sometimes the angle is too crazy, right? All these are perfectly lit.
It's golden hours. Yeah,
It's
sunset
golden
is-
hours,
yeah,
son.
I feel you. Okay.
Yellow lit,
Yep.
green lit,
Yeah.
red lit.
That's confusing.
Tesla can't tell which one it is.
What's it gonna do?
What is it gonna fucking do, Mark?
Yeah.
Has no clue. It's hooked
What,
up to the
what are you
grid.
going to do, though? What are you going to do if you're driving and all of them are lit up?
Because I'm not a fucking robot, Mark.
But what are you going
I
to do?
can tell which one's a little bit more lit.
How? If the sun's hitting it, you
Nah,
can't
I
see.
could always tell
You
I'm a
just said it
human.
was perfect.
Human instinct.
You just said it was perfect.
Human instinct.
It's not a captcha.
Human instinct.
It's not a captcha,
Human
bro.
instinct.
What are you talking about?
It's human instinct.
It's
Human
not
instinct.
click on the
Human
fire
instinct.
hydrants.
Human instinct.
It's human instinct.
Human instinct.
Yo, let's say for example, I'll give you another situation. Bitches.
Okay,
right?
go,
Let's say
go.
for example, right?
Yeah.
There's a big ass truck blocking some of that light.
Oh, no.
Oh,
But it's bouncing off the top of the truck, hitting the traffic
James
light.
Bond did
just
you watch
the red.
yesterday? The
Just
laser beam's
red
gonna
is
go off the
lit.
mirror.
Just the red is lit,
Okay.
right? Green, yellow, completely covered, even though it's a fucking green light.
Oh, no.
Then what happens? You get in a crash. People die because of you.
What are you going to do when
I
you're
think
driving?
it's red, yellow, green,
Say what?
buddy. I think we
Yeah,
I think it's red,
yeah,
yellow,
we
Y'all
green.
be
established
looking
that.
at the lights, gay? Yo, son, come on, yo. Y'all look at the lights even? What am I going to do? What if you're first in line, Mark? What do
Yeah.
you do then? You're first in line.
Okay.
Okay.
To do
Son.
what?
You said you're going to look at all the other cars, see what they do. You can't.
Son,
You're first.
Right
What are you
now,
talking
the
about?
car chimes when the light changes green. Because it knows
Don't
that
say
we
that.
all know we're looking at our phone, and so the car's like, yo, wake up. The light
The
just
car
changed.
knows better than you. The car's looking at it.